When you think of South Korea, you might imagine the dazzling world of K-pop, blockbuster movies, and a thriving economy. I mean, their GDP is larger than Russia's. It's the land of Samsung, shiny new cars, and Psy doing that horsey dance. But friends, much like Psy's career, there's more to this story than meets the eye. However, beneath this glittering facade lies a lesser-known reality. A reality where societal issues simmer beneath the surface and economic anxieties cast a shadow on the nation's progress. Today we're going to lift the curtain and reveal the hidden reality behind South Korea's perfect image. Buckle up, Buttercup, because we're diving headfirst into the land of morning calm to uncover the parts they don't put in K-dramas. Get ready to discover the unseen side of this Asian country. Our journey begins in Seoul, the beating heart of South Korea. This sprawling metropolis, home to nearly half the country's population, is a fascinating paradox. Towering skyscrapers pierce the heavens, casting long shadows upon ancient temples that whisper tales of centuries past. Picture this. You're strolling down the bustling streets of Gangnam, the Beverly Hills of Seoul, where designer boutiques and luxury cars reign supreme. But just a stone's throw away, nestled amidst the urban jungle, lies the Bukchon Hanok village, a perfectly preserved slice of traditional Korea. This juxtaposition of old and new, tradition and modernity, is a recurring theme in South Korea. It's a nation grappling with its identity, striving to reconcile its rich cultural heritage with its rapid economic ascent. But this balancing act comes at a cost, and as we'll soon discover, not everyone reaps the benefits equally. South Korea's geography is as diverse as its society. From the rugged peaks of Seoraksan National Park to the sun-kissed beaches of Jeju Island, this small but mighty nation boasts a stunning array of landscapes. To understand modern-day South Korea, we need to take a trip back in time. Our story begins in the early 20th century, with Korea under Japanese rule. For 35 years, the Korean people endured forced assimilation and cultural suppression. But from the ashes of World War II, hope emerged. The Korean War in 1950 left the peninsula divided. With American aid, South Korea transformed into an economic powerhouse. This period, known as the Miracle on the Han River, showcases Korean resilience. Remember that economic miracle we talked about? It turns out even miracles have a dark side. As South Koreans climbed the economic ladder, they seemed to forget one crucial thing: having babies. South Korea is facing a demographic time bomb. Less babies mean fewer people to pay for pensions and staff essential services. The aging population is straining the social safety net. The government is scrambling for solutions. They've offered incentives, but nothing seems to be working. Now let's talk about the ladies. South Korean women. They're smart, they're stylish, and they're leading a revolution. But it's not the kind of revolution with tanks in the streets and Molotov cocktails, though, to be fair, those have their place. No, this is a revolution fought in classrooms, boardrooms, and online forums. For all its economic progress, South Korea remains a deeply patriarchal society. Traditional gender roles are still firmly entrenched, and women often face discrimination in education, employment, and even within their own families. Imagine this. You're a young woman fresh out of university with a head full of dreams and a resume longer than your arm. You're ready to take on the world, but you keep hitting a wall, a glass ceiling, if you will. You're passed over for promotions, paid less than your male colleagues, and expected to smile politely while doing it. But South Korean women are done smiling politely, fueled by a potent mix of frustration and righteous anger. They're demanding change. They're speaking out against gender discrimination, challenging traditional norms, and demanding equal opportunities. Now, let's talk about something everyone loves. Movies, specifically South Korean movies. Parasite, Squid Game, Train to Busan. These films showcase the dark side of South Korean society, their social commentary disguised as entertainment. They confront class disparity, economic inequality, and capitalism's human cost. Take Parasite, for example. It tells the story of two families, one wealthy, one poor. Then there's Squid Game, a dystopian thriller. Debt-ridden individuals compete in deadly games for money. These films, while fictional, are rooted in reality. We've talked about the glitz and glamour of Gangnam, but now it's time to venture beyond the facade and into the shadows, because hidden beneath the gleaming skyscrapers and neon lights lies another South Korea, a South Korea that exists on the margins, forgotten and often ignored. Welcome to the slums of South Korea, places like Guryong Village, where poverty and despair cast a long shadow over the lives of its residents. Here, ramshackle homes huddle together, cobbled together from scrap wood and corrugated metal, a stark contrast to the gleaming towers that loom in the distance. Life in these forgotten corners of South Korea is a daily struggle. The streets are narrow and winding, often lacking basic sanitation and infrastructure. Many homes lack running water and proper heating, making winters a brutal test of endurance. The residents of these slums are often the forgotten victims of South Korea's economic success. They are the elderly who toil away at menial jobs to make ends meet, the single mothers struggling to provide for their children, and the young people who see little hope for a brighter future. But even in the face of adversity, the human spirit endures. Let's take a stroll, shall we? But this time, we're not heading to the trendy cafes and designer boutiques of Gangnam. No, we're going on a different kind of tour. A tour that will take us from the pinnacle of South Korean affluence to the depths of its despair. Our first stop, of course, is Gangnam, the playground of the rich and famous. Here, luxury cars cruise down streets lined with designer boutiques and upscale restaurants. The air hums with an energy that's both exhilarating and slightly intimidating. This is a place where money talks and everyone seems to be fluent in its language. But hold on to your wallets, folks, because our next stop is a stark contrast. Just a stone's throw from the opulence of Gangnam lies Guryong Village. A stark reminder that wealth and poverty often exist side by side, separated by an invisible wall of social and economic barriers. As we cross this invisible divide, the scenery transforms. Gone are the gleaming skyscrapers and manicured lawns, replaced by a jumble of ramshackle homes and narrow, winding alleyways. In a society that reveres its elders, South Korea faces a heart-wrenching paradox, a growing crisis of elderly poverty and neglect. Behind the nation's economic success lies a silent suffering, a generation of elderly citizens struggling to make ends meet, often forgotten and abandoned by the very society they helped build. Imagine this. You've worked your entire life, contributing to your country's growth and prosperity. You've raised a family, paid your taxes, and played by the rules. But now, in your twilight years, you find yourself struggling to survive. Your meager pension barely enough to cover the rising cost of living. This is the harsh reality for many elderly South Koreans. The country's social safety net, while improving, is still inadequate to meet the needs of its aging population. Many elderly citizens are forced to rely on their families for support, but with rising living costs and a changing social fabric, this support is not always available. The consequences of this neglect are devastating. South Korea has one of the highest elderly suicide rates in the world, a tragic testament to the despair and hopelessness that many elderly citizens experience. So there you have it, folks. The real South Korea, warts and all. It's a nation of contrasts, a place where ancient traditions collide with modern aspirations, where economic success casts a long shadow on those left behind. And did you know about this other side of South Korea? Tell us which one surprised you the most. Was it the demographic time bomb, the struggles of women fighting for equality, or the stark reality of poverty hidden beneath the nation's glossy exterior? If you like content that explores stories like this, keep following us to discover more places with unique and unexpected stories around our channel. We'll keep shining a light on the hidden corners of the world, revealing the stories that often go untold. To those of you who have watched this far, thank you very much and see you next time. Remember, the world is a complex and fascinating place, and there's always more to discover beyond the headlines and the highlight reels.